Noah Dixon's heart raced as his Illyrian girlfriend Gruss slammed her fist through another reinforced bulkhead. She was in heat, and nothing would stop her from reaching him. "Gruss, please, we can work this out," Noah shouted into his communicator, voice echoing through Omega-7's corridors. The interstellar research station shuddered as Gruss tore through another set of security doors. Noah sprinted down the hallway, lab coat flapping. His mind reeled, trying to process the bizarre turn of events. Just hours ago, Gruss had been her usual calm, logical self. Now she was a hormone-crazed juggernaut, fixated on mating with him at any cost. The station's alien liaison officer had warned him about the surge, an intense mating cycle Illyrians experienced every 7 years. But nothing could have prepared Noah for the reality of his girlfriend's superhuman strength and single-minded determination. Alarms blared as Noah rounded a corner, nearly colliding with a group of security personnel. Their faces were grim as they took up defensive positions, weapons trained on the bend in the corridor. "Stand down," Noah ordered. "She's not in control of herself. We need to contain her without causing harm." The guards exchanged uneasy glances but lowered their weapons. Noah's communicator chirped, displaying an urgent message from Earth's Interspecies Relations Committee. His eyes widened as he scanned the text. The fate of human-Illyrian relations hung in the balance. Successfully navigating Gruss's mating cycle could secure a powerful alien ally against the Zarkol Empire. Failure risked diplomatic catastrophe, leaving Earth vulnerable to aggression. Noah's scientific mind raced, analyzing the situation. He needed to satisfy Gruss's biological urges without compromising his safety or interspecies diplomacy. The xenobiologist in him saw an unprecedented opportunity to study Illyrian physiology and mating practices up close. But time was running out. Reports flooded in of Gruss's rampage through the station, destroyed equipment, injured crew members, and a trail of chaos left in her wake. The human commander's voice crackled over the intercom, demanding Noah resolve the crisis immediately. Noah ducked into a nearby lab, locking the door behind him. He pulled up every scrap of data on Illyrian biology and culture, searching desperately for a solution. Outside, Gruss's inhuman shrieks grew closer. The stakes were clear. Noah had to find a way to pacify Gruss before she tore the station apart. But more than that, he needed to navigate this unprecedented situation in a way that strengthened humanity's position in the galactic community. As the sound of rending metal filled the air, Noah steeled himself. He was a xenobiologist, trained to study alien life forms. Now that training would be put to the ultimate test. With Earth's future hanging in the balance, Noah prepared to face his girlfriend's alien passion head-on. Noah's fingers flew across the lab's holographic interface, his mind racing as fast as his heart. The sounds of Gruss's rampage echoed through the station, growing closer with each passing second. He had to act fast. Come on, he muttered, sifting through terabytes of data on Illyrian biology. His eyes widened as he stumbled upon a crucial piece of information. Pheromones, that's it. With practiced efficiency, Noah began synthesizing a pheromone-neutralizing compound. The lab's advanced equipment hummed and whirred, mixing chemicals at his command. Just as the final drops coalesced in the vial, a thunderous bang shook the reinforced door. Noah's head snapped up, adrenaline surging through his veins. Gruss had found him. The door groaned under tremendous force, its metal frame buckling inward. Noah scrambled to secure the compound in a pressurized canister, his mind already formulating a desperate plan. Suddenly, the lab's emergency comm system crackled to life. Captain Marcus Harding's face appeared on the screen, his expression grim. "Dixon, we've got a situation," Harding said, his voice tight. "The Illyrians have been alerted to Gruss's condition. They're sending a battlecruiser to extract her." Noah's stomach dropped. "What? How long do we have?" "Not long," Harding replied. "If they arrive before this is perseveranced, we're looking at a full-blown interstellar incident. Earth's standing in the galactic community is at stake." Noah's mind raced, weighing his options. He glanced at the environmental controls, an idea forming. "Captain, I need you to trust me," Noah said. I'm going to flood the surrounding corridors with a mild sedative gas. It might slow Gruss down enough for me to administer this compound. Harding nodded, his face etched with concern. Do what you have to, Dixon. We're counting on you. As the captain's image winked out, Noah activated the gas dispersal system. He took a deep breath, clutching the canister to his chest, and stepped out into the corridor. The station's once pristine hallways were a scene of chaos. Twisted metal and sparking wires littered the floor. Noah moved cautiously, following the trail of destruction left in Gruss's wake. He encountered a group of injured crew members huddled in an alcove. She went that way, one of them said, pointing down the corridor with a shaking hand. The gas, it only made her angrier. Noah helped the crew to a nearby medical station before pressing on. The weight of responsibility bore down on him with each step. Earth's future, his relationship with Gruss, the fate of human-Illyrian relations. It all hinged on his next actions. As he approached the station's central hub, a familiar voice called out to him. Dr. Dixon. Noah turned to see Dr. Alara Vex, the station's Andromean xenopsychologist, hurrying towards him. Her silver eyes were wide with concern. Dr. Vex, Noah said, relief evident in his voice. I could use your help. The Andromean nodded, her bioluminescent skin pulsing softly. I've been monitoring the situation. My empathic abilities might be able to calm Gruss long enough for you to administer that compound. Noah's hopes surged, but he noticed the hesitation in Dr. Vex's voice. What's the catch? Prolonged exposure to an Illyrian in full surge could be dangerous for my kind, she admitted, but the stakes are too high to stand idly by. Together, they formulated a plan to corner Gruss in the station's arboretum. Noah contacted Captain Harding, who agreed to use the station's emergency protocols to guide Gruss toward their location. As they waited in position, hidden among the lush alien flora of the arboretum, Dr. Vex turned to Noah. You should know, Dr. Dixon, that this isn't an isolated incident. Similar situations have occurred on other stations, but they've been kept quiet to avoid diplomatic tensions. Noah's eyebrows shot up. Why haven't we been informed? This knowledge could have prevented... Politics, Dr. Vex said, her tone bitter. But if we can determination this, we might pave the way for better understanding between our species. Before Noah could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Captain Harding's voice crackled over the comm system, urgent and strained. Dixon, the Illyrian battlecruiser is here. They're demanding immediate docking access. You've got minutes, maybe less, before they force their way aboard. Noah's grip tightened on the canister. Understood, Captain. We're ready. As if on cue, the Arboretum's doors exploded inward. Gruss stormed through the opening, her massive form radiating heat and raw power. Her eyes, usually a calm blue, now blazed with primal intensity. Noah stepped forward, his heart pounding. Dr. Vex began to emit a soft, pulsing light, her empathic abilities reaching out to Gruss. Gruss, Noah called, his voice steady despite his fear. It's me. I'm here. Gruss's head snapped toward him, nostrils flaring. She let out a low, rumbling growl that shook the very air around them. Noah uncapped the canister, ready to deploy the compound. Dr. Vex's light grew brighter, her face contorted with the effort of projecting calm toward the Illyrian. Time seemed to slow as Gruss's gaze locked onto Noah. In her eyes, he saw a swirling mix of uncontrolled desire and the intelligence he had fallen in love with. This was the moment that would define not just their relationship, but the future of human-Illyrian relations. Noah took a deep breath and stepped toward Gruss, the fate of two species resting in his hands. Noah took a deep breath and stepped toward Gruss, the fate of two species resting in his hands. As he approached, the Arboretum's atmosphere grew thick with tension. Gruss's eyes locked onto him, her massive form radiating an intense heat that made the air shimmer. Dr. Vex moved forward, her silver eyes narrowing in concentration. Her bioluminescent skin began to pulse with a soft, rhythmic glow. As she focused her empathic abilities on Gruss, the Illyrian's aggressive stance faltered for a moment. Her wild eyes blinked rapidly, confusion briefly replacing the primal hunger. Seizing the opportunity, Noah closed the distance between them, his fingers tightening around the canister containing the pheromone-neutralizing compound. "Gruss," he called out softly. "I'm here. It's going to be okay." But the moment of calm was short-lived. Gruss shook her head violently, as if trying to clear away Dr. Vex's influence. With a guttural roar that shook the leaves of the alien flora surrounding them, she lunged forward. Noah barely had time to react before Gruss's powerful arms wrapped around him, lifting him effortlessly off the ground. The canister slipped from his grasp, clattering across the arboretum floor and rolling away. "Noah!" Dr. Vex cried out, her voice strained with effort as she tried to maintain her empathic connection with Gruss. Trapped in Gruss's vice-like grip, Noah struggled to breathe. He could feel the heat radiating from her body, her surge-driven instincts now in full control. Through the haze of discomfort, he heard Captain Harding's voice crackle over the station's comm system. "Dixon, we've got a situation." Harding's tone was urgent. "The Illyrian battlecruiser has begun an emergency docking procedure. Our security systems are engaging, but they're overriding them quickly. We're out of time." Noah's mind raced, searching for a solution. He watched helplessly as Dr. Vex, her face contorted with effort, dove for the fallen canister. As her fingers closed around it, she let out a pained gasp. The psychic backlash from Gruss's intense emotions overwhelmed her empathic senses, and she collapsed to the ground, the canister clutched to her chest. Seeing Dr. Vex fall snapped Noah back to focus. He knew he had to act fast to save both her and the delicate diplomatic situation. Drawing on his extensive knowledge of xenobiology, Noah targeted a specific point on Gruss's arm, applying pressure with his elbow. The effect was immediate. Gruss's grip loosened just enough for Noah to slip free. He hit the ground running, sprinting toward Dr. Vex's prone form. Scooping up the canister, he spun to face Gruss once more. Just as he prepared to administer the compound, the arboretum doors exploded inward. A team of Illyrian soldiers stormed in, their advanced weapons trained on Noah. At their head was a tall, imposing figure Noah recognized as Commander Zaxlor from his research into Illyrian military structure. "Step away from the Illyrian citizen." Zaxlor's voice boomed through the arboretum, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. Noah froze, the canister halfway raised. Gruss stood between him and the Illyrian soldiers, her massive form heaving with each breath, caught between her surge-driven need for Noah and the presence of her own people. The tension in the room ratcheted up another notch as Captain Harding arrived with a team of human security officers. They took up defensive positions, creating a standoff between the two species. Noah's mind whirled, searching for a way to defuse the situation. In a flash of inspiration, he remembered a passage from an obscure text on Illyrian culture he'd studied months ago. "Commander Zaxlor," Noah called out, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. "I request permission to perform the Illyrian rite of Vaktar." A hush fell over the arboretum. The Illyrian soldiers exchanged glances, their weapons lowering slightly in surprise. Even Gruss seemed to still, her wild eyes fixed on Noah with a new intensity. Commander Zaxlor stepped forward, his expression a mix of intrigue and skepticism. "The rite of Vaktar is sacred to our people, human. It has never been performed by an outsider. If you fail, it would be seen as an insult to our entire species." Noah nodded, understanding the gravity of his request. "I understand, Commander, but I believe this is the best way to demonstrate my devotion to Gruss and my respect for Illyrian customs." Zaxlor studied Noah for a long moment before giving a curt nod. "Very well, proceed." Taking a deep breath, Noah began the complex series of movements that made up the rite of Vaktar. His body flowed through the intricate gestures, his voice rising and falling in the unfamiliar cadences of the Illyrian language. As he moved, Noah's mind raced, trying to find a way to incorporate the pheromone-neutralizing compound into the ritual. He subtly adjusted his movements, preparing for the final, crucial moment. The arboretum had fallen into a hushed silence, all eyes fixed on Noah as he approached the conclusion of the rite. Humans and Illyrians alike watched with suspenseful pause, aware that the fate of their diplomatic relations hung in the balance. Gruss stood transfixed, her surge-driven state momentarily overcome by the power of the ancient ritual. As Noah moved toward her for the final gesture, he palmed the canister, ready to release the compound. With one fluid motion, Noah completed the last movement of the rite of Vocatar, his hands sweeping up toward Gruss's face. As he did so, he triggered the canister's release mechanism, enveloping them both in a fine mist of the pheromone-neutralizing compound. Time seemed to stand still as the mist settled. Noah held his breath, acutely aware of the weapons trained on him, the tension radiating from both human and Illyrian forces, and the crucial nature of Gruss's reaction. Gruss blinked rapidly, her massive form swaying slightly as the compound took effect. Her eyes, which had been blazing with primal intensity, began to clear. She looked at Noah, recognition slowly dawning on her face. "Noah?" Gruss's voice was hoarse but unmistakably her own. What's happening?" Before Noah could respond, Commander Zaxlor stepped forward, his expression unreadable. The entire Arboretum waited on edge, the future of human-Illyrian relations hanging on his next words. Words. Commander Zaxlor's eyes widened, a mix of awe and respect crossing his features. The rite of Vokhtar, performed by a human, and with such precision. He turned to his soldiers, gesturing for them to stand down. "I have never seen anything like it." The tension in the Arboretum dissipated as both human and Illyrian forces lowered their weapons. Noah's chest heaved with exertion, the complex movements of the ritual and the adrenaline rush leaving him breathless. Gruss blinked rapidly, her massive form swaying as the pheromone-neutralizing compound took full effect. The wild primal look in her eyes faded, replaced by clarity and recognition. "Noah," she said, her voice hoarse but unmistakably her own. What happened?" Before Noah could respond, Captain Harding stepped forward, his gaze moving between Gruss, Noah, and Commander Zaxlor. "If I may," he said, his tone measured and diplomatic, "I believe this incident presents us with a unique opportunity." Zaxlor turned to face the human captain, curiosity evident in his stance. "Go on." "What we've witnessed here today highlights the need for a better understanding of our biological differences," Harding continued. "I propose a joint human-Illyrian research initiative to study and manage these interspecies variations. It could prevent future incidents and strengthen our alliance." The Illyrian commander considered this for a moment, his gaze thoughtful. "An intriguing proposal, Captain. I will discuss it with the High Council. Such cooperation could indeed prove beneficial to both our species." As the tension of the standoff dissipated, Noah felt a wave of relief wash over him. He turned to check on Dr. Vex, who was slowly regaining consciousness, when suddenly the station's alarms blared to life. Red emergency lights bathed the Arboretum in an eerie glow as Captain Harding's comm unit crackled urgently. "Sir," a panicked voice called out, "we have multiple unidentified vessels decloaking near the station. They're Zarkol warships." The relief Noah had felt moments ago evaporated instantly. He watched as both human and Illyrian faces transformed from cautious optimism to relentless drive. "They're firing electromagnetic pulses," the voice on the comm continued. "Our defenses are going offline." Commander Zaxlor strode to Harding's side, his expression grave. "Our ships are being affected as well. This is a coordinated attack." Noah's mind raced, piecing together the implications. "They must have intercepted communications about the incident with Gruss," he said. "They're exploiting our moment of weakness." As if to confirm his words, the station shuddered violently. Emergency backup systems kicked in, bathing everything in a dim, pulsing light. Captain Harding's voice cut through the chaos. "We need to evacuate non-essential personnel to the station's core immediately." He turned to Noah, his eyes sharp with urgency. "Dr. Dixon, I need you to lead a team to the primary control center. We need to restore our defenses." Noah nodded, his gaze sweeping across the diverse group before him. "Sir, I have an idea. Our diversity might be our greatest strength against the Zarkol. If we form a mixed team of humans and Illyrians, we can use our unique abilities to our advantage." Zaxlor nodded approvingly. "A sound strategy. I will assign some of my best warriors to your team." As they quickly assembled the team, Dr. Vex approached, her silver eyes gleaming with tenacity despite her obvious fatigue. "I'm coming too," she said. "My empathic abilities might help us anticipate Zarkol movements. With the team assembled, they set out for the control center. The station's corridors, usually bustling with activity, were now eerily quiet save for the distant sounds of combat and the occasional tremor from Zarkol weapons fire. As they rounded a corner, they encountered their first Zarkol boarding party. The aliens, encased in sleek exosuits, raised their weapons. Noah's mind raced, recalling details from his xenobiology studies. "Aim for the joints in their exosuits," he called out. "The connective tissue is vulnerable to sudden temperature changes." The human Illyrian team moved with surprising coordination. Gruss, her strength restored, charged forward, creating an opening for the others. The Illyrian warriors targeted the weak points Noah had identified, their weapons causing the Zarkol exosuits to malfunction. As they fought their way through the station, Noah found himself working seamlessly alongside Gruss. Their recent experience seemed to have forged a deeper connection, allowing them to anticipate each other's movements in the heat of battle. Finally, they reached the control center, only to find it under siege by a large Zarkol force. Noah surveyed the situation, his mind working overtime to formulate a plan. "The environmental controls," he said suddenly, turning to Captain Harding. "Can we access them from here?" Harding nodded, quickly keying in a command sequence on a nearby console. "What do you have in mind?" "If we can create a localized atmospheric change," Noah explained, his fingers flying over the controls, "we might be able to disorient the Zarkol without affecting us." As the plan was put into motion, Dr. Vex suddenly stiffened, her eyes going wide. "They're planning another push," she said, her voice strained. "I can sense their intent. They're going to try to overwhelm us with numbers." Noah nodded grimly. "Then we need to act now." He activated the environmental controls, flooding the area outside the control center with a carefully calculated mixture of gases. The effect was immediate. The Zarkol forces stumbled, their movements becoming uncoordinated. Noah's team seized the opportunity, pushing forward and driving the disoriented aliens back. With the control center secured, Noah and Gruss worked in tandem to reactivate the station's defensive systems. Their newfound synergy allowed them to navigate the complex systems with remarkable efficiency. As the station's shields flickered back to life, Noah's comm unit crackled. "Dr. Dixon," a voice from Earth's Interspecies Relations Committee came through. "We have an urgent update. The attack on Omega-7 is not isolated. Similar Zarkol assaults are occurring across human and Illyrian space." The gravity of the situation settled over Noah like a heavy weight. He looked around at the diverse team that had come together in this crisis. Humans, Illyrians, and Andromeans working as one. "Understood," he replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. "We'll hold the line here." As he began coordinating the station's defenses, Noah could see the Zarkol fleet regrouping for another assault. He knew that the next few hours would be critical, not just for Omega-7, but for the future of interstellar relations. Beside him, Gruss stood tall, her presence a reassuring constant. Together, they faced the view screen, watching as the Zarkol ships positioned themselves for another attack. The battle for Omega-7 was just getting started, and Noah steeled himself for the challenges ahead, knowing that every decision he made could have far-reaching consequences for all involved. As Noah and his team faced the view screen, watching the Zarkol fleet regroup for another assault, the station shuddered violently. Alarms blared, and the lighting flickered ominously. "Status report," Captain Harding barked into his comm unit. A frantic voice responded. "Sir, the Zarkol have deployed advanced jamming technology. We're losing communication with multiple sections of the station, and our external channels are going dark." Noah's mind raced, analyzing the situation. He turned to Captain Harding, his eyes alight with an idea. "Captain, we might have a solution. The quantum entanglement array in the physics lab. We could use it to create a localized communication network that the Zarkol can't interfere with." Harding's brow furrowed. "That technology is still experimental. We've never used it in combat." "It's risky," Noah admitted, "but it might be our only chance to coordinate a proper defense." After a moment's consideration, Harding nodded. "Do it, take a team, and get that array operational." Noah quickly assembled a small group, including Gruss and two human security officers. As they made their way through the station's corridors, they encountered heavy Zarkol resistance. The aliens, encased in their sleek exosuits, poured fire down the hallway. "Gruss, we need cover," Noah called out. Without hesitation, Gruss charged forward. Her massive Illyrian form barreled into the Zarkol soldiers, sending them flying. Noah and the security officers used the distraction to pick off the stunned aliens. "Aim for the joint between the torso and leg segments," Noah instructed, recalling his xenobiology studies. "There's a weak point in the exosuit's cooling system there." Their shots found their marks, and the Zarkol soldiers fell, their suits malfunctioning and venting coolant. As they neared the physics lab, they found the corridor partially collapsed. Gruss effortlessly cleared the debris, her strength allowing them to push through where others would have been stymied. Inside the lab, they found equipment strewn about, some of it damaged from the initial assault. Noah immediately set to work, his fingers flying over consoles as he assessed the quantum entanglement array. "It's damaged but salvageable," he muttered, more to himself than the others. "Gruss, I need that power coupling over there. Security, watch the doors." As they worked to repair and modify the array, Noah's comm unit crackled to life. Captain Harding's voice came through, filled with urgency. "Dixon, we've got a new problem. A Zarkol infiltration unit has breached the station. They're led by Commander Vexicor. He's taking control of key systems throughout Omega-7. Noah's blood ran cold. He'd heard of Vexicor, a tactical genius known for his brutal efficiency. "Understood, Captain. We're almost ready here." Just as Noah made the final adjustments to the array, the lab's doors burst open. A squad of Zarkol soldiers poured in, led by a towering figure in an ornate exosuit, Commander Vexicor himself. "Gruss, hold them off!" Noah shouted as he activated the quantum entanglement array. Gruss roared, charging into the Zarkol squad. Her massive fists sent soldiers flying, their advanced exosuits crumpling under her Illyrian strength. The human security officers provided supporting fire, their shots precise and calculated. Noah's fingers danced across the console, establishing quantum links across the station. "Captain Harding, Commander Zaxelor, can you hear me?" he called out. "Loud and clear, Dixon." Harding's voice came through, crystal clear despite the Zarkol jamming. "What's your status?" "We've got the array operational, but we're under heavy attack. Vexicor is here." Noah could hear the sharp intake of breath from both commanders. "Hold your position," Zaxelor's voice rang out. "We're sending reinforcements." As Noah coordinated with Harding and Zaxelor, formulating a plan to counter the Zarkol's advanced tactics, he kept one eye on the battle raging around him. Gruss was a whirlwind of destruction, her movements fluid and powerful. She and Noah had developed an unspoken understanding, anticipating each other's needs without a word. "Captain," Noah said, an idea forming, "we need to use our diversity to our advantage. The Andromean empaths, they can detect the Zarkol infiltrators. And if we pair Illyrian warriors with human tactical experts, we can combine strength with strategy." Harding's voice came back, approval evident in his tone. "Do it, Dixon. Coordinate the counterattack from your position." Noah set to work, using the quantum entanglement network to direct forces across the station. Andromean empaths were positioned at key junctions, their unique abilities allowing them to sense the presence of hidden Zarkol soldiers. Illyrian human teams moved with deadly efficiency, pushing back the invaders. The tide of battle began to turn, but the Zarkol still held significant advantages. Commander Vexicor, his tactical genius evident in every move, seemed to anticipate their strategies. Suddenly, the lab shook violently. Alarms blared as systems went offline. Noah realized with a start that Vexicor had identified the quantum entanglement array as the linchpin of their defense. "He's targeting the array," Noah shouted to Gruss. "We need to protect it at all costs." As if in response to his words, a fresh wave of Zarkol soldiers poured into the lab. Noah and Gruss found themselves fighting back to back, defending the crucial equipment against seemingly endless waves of attackers. Noah's scientific knowledge complemented Gruss's raw power perfectly. He called out weak points in the Zarkol exosuits, which Gruss exploited with devastating effect. When a soldier got too close to Noah, Gruss was there in an instant, her protective instincts heightened by their deepened bond. But the constant attacks took their toll. A stray shot struck the quantum entanglement array, causing it to spark and sputter. Noah's heart sank as he realized the entire communication network was on the verge of collapse. "The array is failing," he called out to Gruss. "Someone needs to manually stabilize it, but they'll be exposed to enemy fire." Without hesitation, Noah moved towards the damaged array. Gruss's eyes widened in understanding and concern. She positioned herself between Noah and the Zarkol forces, becoming a living shield. As Noah worked feverishly to stabilize the array, the rest of the defenders rallied around them. They recognized the critical nature of Noah's task, forming a protective circle around him and Gruss. The lab's doors burst open once more, and Commander Vexicor strode in. His advanced battlesuit made him tower over the other Zarkol soldiers. He moved with deadly grace, easily outmatching most of the defenders. Noah's hands trembled as he made the final adjustments to the array. He could hear the sounds of intense combat behind him, Gruss's roars mixing with the clash of Vexicor's advanced weaponry. As he connected the last circuit, Noah turned to see Gruss locked in combat with Vexicor. The fate of Omega-7 and possibly the entire human-Illyrian alliance now hung in the balance. Noah knew that the next few moments would determine everything, and he steeled himself for whatever came next. Next. Noah's fingers flew across the controls, completing the final adjustments to the quantum entanglement array. As the system stabilized, a surge of relief washed over him. Their communication advantage was secure, but the battle was nowhere near the end. Behind him, Gruss grappled with Commander Vexicor, her massive Illyrian form straining against the Zarkol leader's advanced battlesuit. The lab echoed with the sound of metal striking metal as Gruss landed blow after blow, yet Vexicor's suit absorbed much of the impact. Noah's eyes darted between the array's readouts and the intense combat. He noticed a pattern in the energy fluctuations of Vexicor's suit, particularly when the commander unleashed his most devastating attacks. "Gruss, keep him engaged," Noah called out, his mind racing. He tapped into the newly stabilized quantum network, connecting with Captain Harding and Commander Zaxalor. "I've identified a weakness in Vexicor's suit. We need to push it to its limits." As Noah outlined his plan, Gruss continued to hold her ground against Vexicor. Her muscles burned with exertion, but she refused to yield. The bond she shared with Noah had deepened during their ordeal, allowing her to anticipate his strategies even before he voiced them. "Understood, Dixon," Harding's voice crackled through the comm. "We'll coordinate our forces to support your plan. Make it count." Noah took a deep breath, steeling himself for what came next. He grabbed a nearby datapad, making a show of downloading critical station information. "Gruss, cover me!" he shouted, feigning panic as he darted towards the lab's exit. Vexicor took the bait. The Zarkol commander disengaged from Gruss, his suit's thrusters flaring as he pursued Noah. "The human seeks to flee with vital intelligence," Vexicor bellowed to his troops. "Stop him at all costs." As Noah weaved through the corridors of Omega-7, he felt a presence in his mind. Gruss. Their mental link, an unexpected side effect of the quantum entanglement and their strengthened bond, allowed them to coordinate without words. Noah guided Gruss to key positions, setting up for the perfect strike. Vexicor's powerful attacks tore through the station's interior, barely missing Noah as he ducked and rolled. With each near miss, Noah noted the increasing strain on the commander's suit. The energy readings spiked higher and higher, approaching critical levels. "Now, Gruss!" Noah's thought reverberated through their link. In a blur of motion, Gruss burst from a side passage. Her massive fist connected with the weak point Noah had identified, striking with pinpoint accuracy. The impact sent shockwaves through Vexicor's suit, causing it to spark and sputter. Vexicor stumbled, his movements becoming erratic as his suit's systems failed. Gruss pressed her advantage, her Illyrian strength now more than a match for the weakened commander. With a series of crushing blows, she brought Vexicor to his knees. "It's over, Commander," Noah said, approaching the subdued Zarkol leader. Your forces are in disarray. Omega-7 stands. As if to punctuate Noah's words, cheers erupted throughout the station. The quantum network buzzed with reports of Zarkol forces retreating or surrendering. The tide had turned. Noah's comm unit crackled to life, this time with a transmission from Earth. The voice of Admiral Chen, head of the Interspecies Relations Committee, filled the lab. Dr. Dixon, your defense of Omega-7 has been nothing short of miraculous. However, I'm afraid your job isn't finished. The Admiral's tone grew grave as he continued. The Zarkol Empire has launched a full-scale invasion of both human and Illyrian space. Your victory at Omega-7 has become a rallying point for resistance across the colonies. We need you to capitalize on this momentum. Noah listened intently as Admiral Chen outlined their new mission. Transport the captured Commander Vexcor to Earth for interrogation. The intelligence they could glean from him could be the key to repelling the Zarkol invasion. As Noah and Gruss prepared for their journey, a new complication arose. Gruss's body trembled, her skin flushing with unfamiliar heat. The stress of recent events had triggered another surge, less intense than the first, but no less demanding. Noah felt Gruss's turmoil through their mental link. The biological imperative of the surge warred with her dedication to the mission. He placed a hand on her arm, their eyes meeting in silent understanding. They would face this challenge together, just as they had faced every other. Captain Harding provided them with Omega-7's fastest scout ship, equipped with experimental stealth technology. As they boarded with the restrained Vexcor, alarms blared throughout the station. A Zarkol battlecruiser had arrived, launching fighters to recover their commander. "We need to launch now!" Noah shouted, strapping himself into the pilot's seat. Gruss secured Vexcor, her enhanced strength easily subduing the Zarkol leader, despite her surge-induced distraction. The scout ship's engines roared to life, propelling them away from Omega-7 as explosions blossomed in the space behind them. Noah engaged the cloaking systems, his hands dancing across the controls as he plotted a course through contested space. As stars streaked past the view screen, Noah glanced at Gruss. Her eyes were closed in concentration, fighting to control the urges of her surge. He then looked back at their prisoner, the defeated but still dangerous commander, Vexcor. The fate of two civilizations rested on their successful delivery of this one Zarkol leader to Earth. Noah took a deep breath, focusing on the tasks ahead. They had a long journey through hostile territory, with Zarkol forces undoubtedly in pursuit. But as he felt Gruss's steadying presence through their mental link, he knew they were ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The scout ship accelerated, disappearing into the vast expanse of space. Behind them, the battle for Omega-7 concluded in victory for the human-Illyrian alliance. Ahead lay uncertainty, danger, and the weight of two civilizations' futures. For Noah and Gruss, their greatest test was just beginning. The scout ship accelerated, disappearing into the vast expanse of space. Noah's hands gripped the controls tightly as he navigated through the treacherous contested territory. Beside him, Gruss sat rigid, her eyes closed in concentration, as she fought to control the urges of her secondary surge. "Quantum sensors detecting multiple signatures," Noah announced, his voice tense. "Zarkol patrol ships closing fast." Gruss's eyes snapped open, her nostrils flaring. "I smell them," she growled, her enhanced Illyrian senses picking up trace particles in space. 3 o'clock. High. Noah's fingers danced across the control panel, adjusting their trajectory. The scout ship banked sharply, narrowly avoiding a concentrated scan beam from a Zarkol cruiser. Behind them, in the makeshift holding cell, Vexcor stirred restlessly. As they wove through a field of space debris, Noah noticed Gruss's agitation intensifying. Her massive frame trembled, skin flushed with the telltale heat of the surge. He knew they couldn't afford any distractions, not with the Zarkol hot on their trail. "Gruss," Noah said softly, reaching out to touch her arm. "I have an idea. It's not a perfect solution, but it might help manage your symptoms." Gruss turned to him, her eyes wild with awe-inspiring need. Noah explained his plan, drawing on his knowledge of Illyrian physiology. He described a series of pressure points and biochemical interventions that could temporarily dampen the effects of the surge without fully satisfying her mating drive. "It's your choice," Noah finished, "but we need you at your best." Gruss nodded, her trust in Noah evident. As he began applying the techniques, she let out a low, rumbling purr. The tension in her muscles gradually eased, though the fire in her eyes remained. Their moment of respite was short-lived. Alarms blared as the ship's stealth systems began to falter. Noah cursed under his breath, recognizing the signs of damage from their hasty escape from Omega-7. "Stealth systems failing," he reported grimly. "We're about to light up every sensor in the sector." Ahead lay a densely populated area of human space. Civilian ships crisscrossed the void, each one a potential beacon that could alert the Zarkol to their presence. Noah made a split-second decision, veering the scout ship towards a massive asteroid field. "Hold on," he warned Gruss. "This is going to get rough." Noah's hands moved with surgical precision as he guided the ship through the swirling mass of space rock. Massive boulders loomed in the view screen, only to be dodged at the last second. Gruss braced herself, her newly stabilized state allowing her to focus on monitoring their prisoner in the ship's systems. Suddenly, alarms blared from the holding area. VexCore had somehow short-circuited the security systems. Noah heard the sound of tearing metal as the Zarkol commander attempted to break free. "Gruss, go!" Noah shouted, his concentration fixed on navigating the treacherous asteroid field. Gruss leapt from her seat, bounding towards the holding area. Noah felt a surge of adrenaline through their mental link as she engaged VexCore. He could sense her every move, coordinating his piloting to give her the most stable fighting ground possible. The ship rocked as an asteroid glanced off their hull. Noah gritted his teeth, compensating for the impact. Through their link, he guided Gruss, helping her anticipate VexCore's moves despite the erratic motion of the ship. With a final resounding crash, Gruss subdued VexCore. Noah felt her satisfaction mingled with concern. The fight had further damaged the ship's already strained systems. As they emerged from the asteroid field, Noah's heart sank. Critical warnings flashed across the control panel. "We need to land," he announced grimly. "Now!" A small, barren planetoid loomed ahead. Its surface was a patchwork of harsh, rocky terrain and swirling storm systems. It was far from ideal, but they had no choice. Noah guided the failing ship through the turbulent atmosphere, fighting for control as they descended. With a bone-jarring impact, they touched down on a plateau of jagged rock. As the dust settled, Noah and Gruss took stock of their situation. The ship's damage was extensive. Long-range communications were offline, and their stealth systems were beyond repair. The harsh environment outside promised its own set of challenges. "We need to secure VexCore and assess our options," Noah said, unbuckling from his seat. Gruss nodded, her eyes scanning the alien landscape visible through the view screen. "I'll do a perimeter check. This place, it smells wrong." As they stepped out onto the planetoid's surface, the full force of its hostile environment hit them. Howling winds whipped stinging particles of dust and ice. In the distance, strange, lumbering shapes moved through the gloom. Native fauna, undoubtedly as harsh and unforgiving as their surroundings. Noah's scientific curiosity was piqued by a strange reading on his handheld scanner. "Gruss, look at this," he called out. "These mineral deposits, they're like nothing I've ever seen. They're completely scrambling our comms." As they explored further from the ship, evidence of artificial structures began to appear. Ancient, weathered ruins poked through the rocky ground. Noah's excitement grew as he recognized elements of highly advanced technology, far beyond even the Zarkol's capabilities. "This was an outpost," he breathed, examining a partially buried console. "An alien outpost, abandoned millennia ago. If we can reactivate some of this tech, it might be our ticket out of here." A distant roar snapped their attention back to their immediate surroundings. The native fauna were growing bolder, drawn by the presence of the newcomers. Noah and Gruss hurried back to their ship, where an impatient VexCore awaited. The Zarkol commander's eyes gleamed with interest as Noah explained their discovery. "I know of these ruins," VexCore said smoothly. "My people have studied similar outposts. I could help you activate the technology for a price." Noah and Gruss exchanged wary glances. Trusting Vexicor was a massive risk, but the information he possessed about both the ruins and the ongoing Zarkol invasion could be invaluable. Before they could respond, a piercing alarm cut through the air. The ship's long-range sensors had detected incoming vessels, a Zarkol strike force, no doubt drawn by the energy signatures of the ancient technology they'd inadvertently activated. Noah's mind raced. They had precious little time to repair their ship, decipher the alien technology, and decide whether to trust Vexicor. As the first Zarkol ships breached the planetoid's atmosphere, Noah knew their next moves would determine not just their fate, but potentially the outcome of the entire human-Illyrian conflict. He turned to Gruss, their mental link thrumming with shared tenacity. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Noah's fingers flew across the control panel, activating the ancient alien technology. A low hum reverberated through the air as a shimmering energy shield materialized around their position. The descending Zarkol ships opened fire, their energy beams dissipating harmlessly against the protective barrier. "That won't hold forever," Noah said, his eyes fixed on the readings. "We need to move fast." Gruss nodded, already moving towards their damaged scout ship. Through their mental link, Noah felt her commitment and focus. They worked in perfect synchronization, anticipating each other's needs without a word spoken. Sparks flew as Gruss welded a damaged panel back into place, while Noah recalibrated the ship's systems. As they neared completion of the repairs, Noah's gaze was drawn to the alien console. An idea sparked in his mind. "Gruss, help me with this," he called out, gesturing to a piece of the ancient technology. Together, they carefully extracted a pulsing, crystalline component from the alien device. Noah's hands trembled slightly as he integrated it into their scout ship's systems. The ship hummed to life, its displays flickering with newfound energy. "This could give us the edge we need," Noah explained, his voice tight with tension. "But it's unstable. We'll only get one shot at breaking through their blockade." A thunderous boom shook the ground as the Zarkol intensified their assault on the energy shield. Cracks began to appear in its translucent surface. Vexicor stirred in his restraints, his eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and calculation. "Wait," he called out. "I can help you escape. There's a fatal flaw in Zarkol ship design. Give me my freedom, and I'll tell you how to exploit it." Noah and Gruss exchanged a look, their mental link buzzing with shared thoughts. Noah nodded, making a split-second decision. "Agreed, but with a condition. We'll release you only after we've confirmed your information is accurate." Vexicor's mandibles clicked in agitation, but he nodded. "The primary power coupling on Zarkol vessels is located just behind the forward sensor array. A precise hit there will cause a cascade failure, disabling multiple systems simultaneously." As Noah input the final launch sequence, the energy shield collapsed with a deafening crack. Zarkol ships immediately opened fire, their energy beams scorching the planetoid surface. "Hold on!" Noah shouted as he engaged the engines. The scout ship lurched upward, narrowly avoiding a barrage of enemy fire. Noah's hands danced across the controls, guiding them through a dizzying series of evasive maneuvers. Gruss manned the weapon station, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to target with inhuman precision. "I've got a lock on their lead ship," she growled, her voice thick with the lingering effects of her surge. Noah aligned their trajectory, giving Gruss a clear shot. She fired, their weapons supercharged by the alien technology. The beam struck the Zarkol ship exactly where Vexicor had indicated. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a series of explosions rippled across the enemy vessel's hull. It listed to one side, its engines sputtering and dying. The effect spread to nearby ships, their systems failing in a chain reaction. A gap opened in the Zarkol formation, and Noah didn't hesitate. He pushed their engines to maximum, aiming for the opening. As they accelerated away from the planetoid, alarms blared throughout the scout ship. The alien technology was becoming increasingly unstable, creating surges of power that threatened to tear the vessel apart. Noah's mind raced as he assessed their options. "We'll never make it to Earth like this," he said grimly, setting a course for the nearest human outpost. The scout ship shuddered violently as they pushed it beyond its limits. Systems failed one by one, each alarm silenced by Gruss as she fought to keep their vessel functional. Through their mental link, Noah felt her strain, her muscles trembling with exertion as she held critical components in place through sheer strength. Zarkol ships appeared on their sensors, closing fast. Noah weaved through debris fields and solar flares, using every trick he knew to stay ahead of their pursuers. The human outpost appeared on their view screen, a beacon of hope in the vastness of space. "This is Dr. Noah Dixon, requesting emergency landing clearance," Noah transmitted, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We have critical intelligence regarding the Zarkol invasion." For a heart-stopping moment, there was no response. Then a gruff voice crackled through their comms. "Clearance granted, Dr. Dixon. Get your ass down here fast. We've got hostiles on approach." As they entered the outpost's defensive perimeter, a squadron of human and Illyrian ships streaked past them, moving to engage the Zarkol pursuers. Noah guided their failing vessel towards the landing bay, fighting against unresponsive controls. With a bone-jarring impact, they touched down. Emergency teams swarmed the ship as Noah and Gruss stumbled out, supporting each other. Noah's hand flew to his datapad, transmitting everything they'd gathered to both human and Illyrian high commands. As medical personnel approached to assess them, Noah felt a wave of exhaustion wash over him. He leaned against Gruss, feeling her solid presence through their link. They had made it, against all challenges. But as alarms blared throughout the outpost and ships continued to battle overhead, Noah knew their journey was just getting started. The intelligence they'd brought back could change the course of the war, and with VexCorp in custody, they had a potential goldmine of information at their disposal. Noah's scientific mind was already racing with possibilities, analyzing the alien technology they'd encountered and its potential applications. As they were led towards a debriefing room, Noah glanced at Gruss. Despite her outward composure, he could feel the renewed stirrings of her surge through their link. The challenges ahead were not just galactic in scale, but deeply personal as well. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The outpost commander approached, his face a mix of awe and urgency. "Dr. Dixon, Gruss, we need you to tell us everything. The fate of 2 civilizations may depend on what you've discovered." Noah nodded, squaring his shoulders. There would be time for rest later. For now, the real work was just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.